Hello everyone, welcome to today's lesson with calebmulonga. Today we are going to look at bile, specifically the movement of bile. So we have to understand one thing first. So what is bile? So bile is a fluid produced by the liver and stored or temporarily stored in the gallbladder that aids in the digestion of fats in the small intestines. So basically, bile is a fluid that helps in the breakdown of these fats into fatty acids so that they can be absorbed in the body. They also help the body to get rid of waste products such as bilirubin and excess cholesterol. So why is bile important? We've mentioned to say it is important because it helps in the digestion or emulsification of fats into fatty acids and also helps them to be digested and absorbed. And lastly, we said they also help in the body to get rid of some of the waste products such as bilirubin and other waste products and cholesterol, for example, excess cholesterol. Okay, so we have been learning, especially under nursing or even medicine as a whole, we learn about bile. We learn about the biliary tree, for example. So it is only right that we look at how it moves within that biliary tree. So firstly, we understand that the gallbladder is a thin-walled, pear-shaped muscular sac that is attached to the posterior surface of the liver by connective tissues. It has a fundus body and neck, which is continuous with the cystic duct. The gallbladder stores bile that is not immediately needed for digestion and concentrates it by absorbing some of the water and the ions. So this is just the introduction, and we are trying to describe what the gallbladder is. So let us look at the movement of bile. So from the diagram, we can tell that bile is produced from the liver, or it is secreted from the liver, and it can use from the liver, it will travel using the right hepatic duct or the left hepatic duct, and it will go through the duct or through the duct we are calling the hepatic duct. So if you look at the hepatic duct, there is movement. So as you can see, there are arrows there that are pointing downwards. So these arrows So as we can see from the arrows, they are showing that the bile moves from the liver. It goes through the right and the left hepatic duct into the hepatic duct. And as we can see from the arrows, certain or other, the bile will travel into the gallbladder where it is temporarily stored. Then from the gallbladder, it will move, as we can see from the arrows, it will move out through the cystic duct. Remember, it is from the left and the right hepatic duct. It goes through the hepatic duct, then it goes into the cystic duct, into the gallbladder. So after being temporarily stored, for example, when this person eats a meal, we'll talk about that in details. So this bile will move from the gallbladder through the cystic duct and enter into the common bile duct. From the common bile duct, it will move down. It will move down, where it will go through the hepatopancreatic ampulla. It will go through the hepatopancreatic ampulla and also go through the point we are calling the hepatopancreatic sphincter, and then it will reach the duodenum. That is basically how the bowel moves from the liver into the duodenum. So when the food or when no digestion is occurring, the hepatopancreatic sphincter that we saw, which is between, or that is just at the end of the common duct, and as we can see from the diagram, and the duodenum, we are saying when there is no digestion occurring, the hepatopancreatic sphincter closes and the release of bile breaks up the cystic duct into the gallbladder, where it is stored until needed. So if there is no digestion, that sphincter that we saw there is going to close. And once it closes, it will cause the release of bile back, or to be backed up into the cystic duct, where it will go into the gallbladder, where it will be temporarily stored. So although the liver continues to make the bile, bile does not usually enter the small intestines until the gallbladder contracts. That means until this gallbladder contracts, that is when it can only be squeezed to go into the small intestines. The major stimulus for gallbladder contractions is an enzyme we are calling cholecystokines, CCK, which is released to the blood when acidic fatty chyme enters the duodenum. So this CCK is only released, this enzyme is only released when it is only released in the blood when the acidic fatty chyme, remember, we no longer call it food. When it enters the mouth, it's food. Once you chew it, it is bolus. When it reaches the stomach and it starts moving from the stomach, it is no longer called a bolus, it's called chyme. So once this chyme moves into the duodenum, and this should be a fatty chyme, meaning it has fatty acids, that is when the CCK enzyme is produced. Okay, besides causing the contraction of the gallbladder, the CCK also stimulates the secretion of hepatic juice and relaxes the hepatosphincter so that the bile and the pancreatic juice can enter the duodenum. This normal flow of bile may not be necessary if there is a disorder either in the gallbladder or in the biliary tract. So by my explanation, or from what we have learned today, we are saying that, let's go back to the diagram. So from the diagram, we can tell that the bile is produced in the liver, and it travels from the liver into the gallbladder and then travels into the intestines. So we are saying that when there is no digestion, this hepatopancreatic sphincter is going to shut and cause this bile to go back into the cystic duct and be temporarily stored in the gallbladder, or the gallbladder as we call it. That is when there is no digestion. But we are also saying that there's an enzyme which we are calling the CCK. Okay, And this enzyme, we are saying it is the one that is responsible, or it is only produced when a fatty chyme enters the duodenum, and it will be released in the blood. So the functions is that the function of the CCK enzyme is that it helps in it helps the pancreatic sphincter to relax, therefore causing the movement of bowel, or allowing the bowel to enter the duodenum, but also it also facilitates the movement of pancreatic acids or juices to enter into the duodenum and help in the digestion process. Okay, so basically that is all. And that is all that we have to learn about the movement. But certain diseases or conditions that we have to understand that can take place in the bowel are, or that can affect the gallbladder rather, is cholecystitis, which is basically the inflammation of the gallbladder. Then we also have cholelithiasis, which is simply stones in the gallbladder, which we also call gallstones. Of course, we also have surgical interventions such as cholecystectomy and cholecystotomy. So cholecystectomy is basically the surgical removal of the gallbladder, and cholecystotomy is an incision into the gallbladder, which usually this is an incision in the gallbladder, usually with the insertion of the tube for drainage. So basically, that is all about the movement and certain conditions that may affect the gallbladder or the movement of bile. So we have to understand that and get the concept. So if we have any questions, we can ask the comment section or we can interact. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and share the video. Thank you for watching.